the puck now. Down low for Gaudreau to Kachuk in the corner. Back to Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau in front. Feeds a pass to Lindholm. Stopped by Ottinger. Took it up high. Gaudreau scores! Johnny Gaudreau sends the Flames to round 2. Bring on the Battle of Alberta.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. This is clearly, as you can already read by the title, going to be a much different episode than we normally do. This is going to be a bit of we'll call it a tribute episode for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, who tragically passed away last week. They were hit by a alleged drunk driver. I don't know if that's fully confirmed. It sounds like it's mostly confirmed. But yeah, they were both biking outside and near, I think they were they in Philadelphia? Or maybe they were in
kind of. Yeah. More in the New Jersey area. It was kind of like, I think it was like just outside New Jersey a bit.
Yeah, and they were hit actually from behind. I think people just keep making assumptions that it was head on because that's what you imagine with vehicle accidents, but they were hit from behind from a drunk driver who was trying to pass on the right side, and tragically both lost their lives. So this is going to be a bit more of explaining the situation to people who haven't heard everything and just paying tribute to them, because it really is a tragic story all around, and we felt it necessary to do an episode just based on this, and not do any other hockey news, nothing else, and we'll get to that in other episodes. But yeah, do we want to just start by I kind of outlined a bit of the story. There's not much to the actual story. But do you want to talk at all about Johnny or Matthew?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it. It was in a report that the driver of the vehicle told police he had, I think in the what I read, it was like he said he had like 6 or 8 beers or something, or like 5 or 6 or something like that. So he admitted that he had quite a few beers before getting behind the wheel. Which you obviously should never do. But aside from that, yeah, it's been a very just a dark week.
He drank 5 to 6 beers prior to the crash, which, if you've ever talked to a policeman, you know that naturally you immediately lower the number. I got to imagine it was at least 7 to 8. But
yeah, it's been a really dark week. Not only across the hockey world, but even just the entire sports world. Like, seeing the tributes and the outpour of love and support from numerous players and fan bases and even teams across all level of sports is truly incredible to see. And and the biggest thing, not gonna keep going back to this, but just like putting it out there, and gonna leave it at that. If you're ever out and you have even one drink and you got any alcohol in your system, don't drive. Like, if you are getting behind the wheel and you're drunk, and you're putting other people's lives at risk, and it is the most selfish thing you can do, and straight up, you're a piece of shit if you do it. That's really the best way to put it. Like, just and in today's day and age, call a cab, get an Uber. Like, everybody's got a cell phone on them. You can look up the number for a cab. You can download the Uber app, and you know what? I think everybody in the entire world would agree that you'd rather spend, $20 to $30 on an Uber than spend 20 to 30 years in jail. Right? So again, like, just if you're going out and drinking, that's fine, but be smart with it and don't make a dumb decision, because at the end of the day, I'm not even going to say his name because I don't even want to put him out there. He doesn't, deserve anything. But like, he made a bad decision, and numerous people out there are paying the price for his actions.
Yeah, and that's I know a lot of people on Friday, early Saturday were especially upset because on Friday he had the drunk driver had a virtual court appearance in which the judge told him that he'll be spending the weekend behind bars because
until
of
today.
the holidays. Yeah. So
like, it was today that he was able to
get out
because of Labor Day, and the requirement is 72 hours.
Yeah.
So Friday, and then the 3-day weekend, and then Tuesday, Wednesday. And then that's getting to the 72 hours. And what pissed me off about that video,
when he got told that, he was very like, okay, the system's making things tough for me. And it's like, he not a sign of a guy who had just taken 2 people, 2 husbands, 2 fathers away.
There was no remorse. There was absolutely no remorse.
Sorry,
whatsoever.
I should clarify. Johnny Gaudreau is a father. Matthew was not, but since the crash, his wife has come out and announced that she is pregnant. Like we said, every way you slice this, it is an absolutely gut-wrenching situation. Yeah, it's really tough. Everything you see, everything you read, it's so brutal. And we're not gonna spend time at all talking about, I'm sure once we get into the season and stuff, we'll talk about maybe how this could affect like the Columbus Blue Jackets on the ice, but not until that season's actually starting. But one thing, so like a bit closer to the hockey side with this is Sean Monahan just signed as a free agent, cited specifically to play with Johnny Gaudreau again in Columbus. And that sucks too. Like it's just every way you cut it, it's just absolutely tragic. And you really got to hope that their families are dealing with it okay. It's impossible to with something like this, but one thing that's come out of this that's been very uplifting, at least, is that a online GoFundMe was set up for specifically for Matthew Gaudreau's family. Obviously, Johnny Gaudreau, played high level hockey for several years, so obviously his family is doing a bit better with their finances. But Matthew, somebody set up a GoFundMe for him. The goal was raising $30,000 US. As of right now, it is just north of $600,000 US. So that's like several thousand% higher than what their goal was. So it's been really nice to see so many people of, like you said, not just the sports community, or not the hockey community, but the sports community as a whole. Some people who especially put in a lot of money was, Artemi Panarin, Matt Duchene, Corey Perry, Matthew Tkachuk, Sean Monahan, Pecorine, among a bunch of others. Like, I don't want to just sit here listing NHL players, but a lot of them have donated several tens of thousands of dollars. And it's really nice to see people come together for that, because it really is a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, just the entire situation as a whole, right? Like, and the crazy thing is, right, like in my experience of, just being a hockey fan in general, in my timeline, right? Not looking at stuff before then, just in this timeline. The only other thing that, is on the same level of this, in terms of kind of the effects is, again, another tragedy with Columbus, and that was their goalie, Kivlenkins.
Yeah, Mattis
So
Kivlenieks, I want to say it's pronounced.
I think it was Kivlenkins, but regardless, again, another tragedy, and something that happens to a current player that you were just watching like not too long ago in the league, and in a split second to be like that they've passed away is it's tough news. And your first thing goes to you're thinking about their family and friends. You even kind of touched on it, but one of the first people I thought of right away was Sean Monahan. Him and Gaudreau had an instant friendship in Calgary. They kind of got split up a bit for a couple of years. And then, Monahan had, after a great season last year, he had his pick of the litter on where he wanted to go. And he chose Columbus to, be back with Johnny and try and reignite the magic they had. And not only that, just to, play with his best friend again. And the toughest part was, 2 or 3 days before, or it might even been like the day before, what happened was Monahan was doing an interview, and he was talking about how excited he was to be playing with his best friend again. He was excited to just get on the ice with him and spend time with him again. He was excited to watch their kids grow up together and whatnot. And then it's just gone like that. And that's gut wrenching. That's heartbreaking to even imagine, for all those guys out there, all of his current teammates, his former teammates, like, again, all because of the dumb decision of one individual changes the lives of, hundreds, thousands of people that, had the pleasure of knowing Gaudreau, and, not only on the ice, but just off the ice. And you're hearing all these stories of, just the kind of person he was and whatnot. Like it's just awful.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, the news broke about 7 or 8 o'clock where we are, PM, that this had allegedly happened. And until about a full 12 hours later in the morning, when Gary Bettman made an official statement and kind of a couple major news outlets kind of fully broadcast it, everyone so badly wanted it to not be true. It just came from some random guy. It looked like it could have easily been a hoax. Everyone was hoping it was, because obviously, and unfortunately it was true. And so the NHL, Gary Bettman, announced that it was true at either 6 or 7 a.m. The next day. At 7:45 that day, already the news station that employed the person who quote, heavy air quotes, broke the news, already that early in the morning already tweeted out that they have parted ways with him, that they don't condone what he did. So
I have two things I want to.
So, yeah, the guy who took it upon himself to leak it on his personal Twitter, rightfully, in my opinion, lost his job, because that is unprofessional
100%.
to the highest degree.
100%. And I even put it out on Twitter, right? Just on my personal Twitter.
Yeah.
And I said, if you are a reporter, because the biggest thing when you're a reporter, right, is you want to be the first one to break the news, right? Like I remember even back to when John Tavares was officially a free agent, and everybody kind of assumed he was going to Toronto. But I remember the craze and the fight amongst every reporter out there, from the top dogs to down to the little guys. It was a fight to be the first one to break the news and have the actual facts and the concrete evidence to put it out there.
Yeah.
Whatever level of a reporter you are, when it comes to stuff like this, there is no way that you should be trying to rush and be the first one to break the news, to the point where the original tweet that came out to start the rumors, these are the first, this is the very first part of the tweet. I'm not 100% sure. If you are trying to break news and put stuff out about not even a professional athlete, just someone passing away, if you are putting, I'm not 100% sure, you should not be putting it out there.
Yeah.
You should, it should not be there. If you think it's true and, you want to type up, being like breaking news and then put it in your drafts, fine, whatever. But to put it out there and be like, I'm not 100% sure, but this may or may not have happened, and to start this swirl and everything that came out from it was absolutely terrible. And I completely agree with you. He 100% deserved to lose his job. I will say, though, he did put out a tweet the following day, telling people, and he owned his shit, so fair play to him. But the tweet was basically saying, do not, please stop sending my family death threats, because there was people that were going out of their way to contact, private message family members of his and send them death threats, and that is not okay.
No.
Especially after something like this, to
realize that's wrong.
And that's the thing. I think the vast majority of people realize that that's fucked up and wrong, and not doing it. But to the people out there, don't. The other thing I will say is, so you said the news was broken around whatever was it, early Friday morning of last week. So I for the people that were on Twitter a lot and just constantly refreshing to try and get news, myself included, because I saw it was retweeted and then I saw it, and so I kind of knew that it was real before I went to bed on the Thursday night, because the medical examiner of that was on the scene there put out a message and sent out a picture of the notes that they took to a group chat with a bunch of their buddies.
Yeah,
and someone from that group chat,
the news guy, I assume, who leaked it, I assume is one of those buddies in the chat.
I would assume so. But then, so once that group chat got leaked, people started doing their homework, and they found the guy and whole Facebook profile and everything, medical examiner right in that area. So then people were like, at this point now, it just everything was lined up. It was like, fuck, this really might actually be real, because when you see stuff like this, your mind always goes to, it's not real. There's no proof. There is nothing out about it. It's all based off one tweet, and it's a very poorly worded tweet, and so your mind always goes to that. You want to believe it's not true, but then when stuff starts getting leaked and whatnot, it's like fuck. And again, a situation of this, pedigree and whatnot, it's just, you don't need to, be the first to break the news, or be send in your buddies texts about it, being like, look at this. It's regardless of who it is, right? Two people unfortunately lost their lives that night, and again, it's an awful situation, and I think it's, by a lot of different areas, it was handled very poorly. But again, now seeing like tonight, we're going to kind of touch on it. The Columbus Blue Jackets already held their candlelight vigil out in Columbus, and out in our neck of the woods, out by Calgary. The same is happening tonight at the Saddle Dome. Actually, about this time now, will be taking place, and so
that
kind of
entire area is. This is just a random piece on that, but that entire area is free parking for tonight. I've literally never seen them do. It should be, but I've literally never seen them for anything. For anything, I have never seen them make that whole area free parking. Yeah. And I just like that they did that, because I can't remember a single time where they've done that, because why not monetize everything, right? But
and
luckily they didn't for this.
If they were scumbags and decided to charge $50 for parking lot would still be full.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that parking lot would be full. Like, just seeing the memorial and whatnot that's been going on the front steps of the dome from fans and whatnot.
Absolutely
is absolutely incredible. And no discredit to Columbus. Columbus has been doing a fantastic job. Just in our area, we're just tending to see a lot more of this stuff from Calgary. But again, seeing the support and the love from the fans and whatnot, just as not only as a hockey fan, but as a person, like, our hearts go out to all the people affected by this.
Both in Columbus and Calgary, there's so many sticks, flowers, pucks, jerseys, like
Skittles,
everything, just
purple Gatorade, like the stuff that, like, the little inside jokes and the deeper down stuff, not just from the hockey player part, but just the as a person part. Like, Johnny loved his purple Gatorade on the bench with the boys, and he loved his Skittles. Like, those are just things of who he was, as a person. Because I feel like a lot of people still are, being like, Johnny and Matthew, like the hockey players, like the people.
Yeah.
They're still real humans. They had real lives. They were, sons, brothers, friends. Like, they were dads. Like, they were, outside of hockey, they were just real people, and they had real lives. And to kind of see people make that connection and whatnot, I think was also a really cool touch by both Calgary fans and Columbus fans.
It really hasn't been, like you said, since the Mattis Kivlenik story, that we just haven't had such a raw human story like this. And it's very easy to forget, these guys, we call them hockey players. We watch them for hundreds of hours a year as hockey players, but you don't, it's easy to forget that they're people with lives just like everyone else. But it is a very human story. And it's very unfortunate as well. One thing, and so many different players and just personnel across the league have done great tribute pieces and said some
really nice words. Can I just throw in one thing before you go on with the player? Because I think I know where you're going with this. Probably. Another thing is just, our hearts also go out to, we've kind of touched on a lot of people, but also especially the sister of both Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau, who, the day that the news broke of their passing was supposed to be her wedding. They were both reported to be groomsmen within that wedding. The wedding was obviously canceled. So, our hearts really do go out to her and, her fiance as well, because that's, you're the night before potentially the biggest day of your life. And the happiest day of your life. You get what could arguably be the worst news that they're ever going to receive in their lifetime. So our hearts really go out to them, and, hope that they're doing well and they're able to find comfort in any way that they can. As they try to go forward in whatever way that they can from here now.
Yeah. Um, yeah, very well said. One thing that I was getting to here is that um, Cole Caulfield specifically announced that this year he's going to be wearing number 13 in honor of Johnny Gaudreau, obviously. Those two had played on the United States national team in the past together. Both very skilled, undersized guys. Cole Caulfield has on the record said that uh, Johnny was one of his heroes, one of his idols. A guy he really looked up to growing up, and then ended up playing with him for a bit on that U.S. team. So that's a pretty cool gesture by Caulfield there, because a lot of guys are very very particular about their jersey number and stuff like that, and it's a nice tribute.
Yeah, 100%. When I saw that, I thought that was a really cool moment. And like you said, Gaudreau is a guy that Caulfield looked up a lot to. You know, uh, I mean, Johnny he wasn't a first round pick. He wasn't a top prospect. Like, he was a guy drafted later in the draft. And being a smaller guy like that, back then, a lot of those guys were written off, right? Like, if you weren't on the bigger size and whatnot, you weren't really given as much of a chance as other guys that were a bit bigger. And in every aspect along the way, Johnny continued to beat the odds and was able to prove that he could be an NHL player, and not only that, be a superstar in this league. When you're talking about some of the best players in the league, like Gaudreau was always in that conversation. And so a guy on the bit of a smaller side like Caulfield probably really looked up to Gaudreau because, again, it was a guy that he never let anything get him down or make him think that he couldn't do it. He had the heart and determination to do it, and he went out there and really not only took the league by storm, but captured the eyes and hearts of everyone in Calgary, and then continued to do so in Columbus afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He really was just the heart. He was the heart and soul of the Flames for the better part of a decade. Yeah, they absolutely loved him here, and that's super evident all across the city right now. Yeah, they even lit up the Calgary Tower. Was it purple like his Gatorade? They I can't
I'm
remember
honestly
which
not
color.
too sure.
I can't remember if it was that or if they lit it up blue for the Blue Jackets, but they lit it up in colors for him for a couple of days there. Even I think it went out at like 8 o'clock on the day that the news broke. There's an unskippable that you have to click through tribute to Matthew and Johnny both on EA Sports' version of most recent iteration of the NHL series. That was a nice little thing that people were saying was pretty cool. When you open the game, it comes up and it says, remember the people. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
There's not a ton more to say other than there's two things that I've seen floating around, and it's obviously a bit of a difficult and emotional time, but I do want to know your opinions on these.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy to not take a super hard stance on this, but we'll see. One thing that's been passed around a lot lately is the possibility of renaming the Lady Byng Trophy after Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau, I believe it was in 2017, won the Lady Byng Trophy. That was in the 2016-17 season he won it. That's the player judged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. It's being a good person and also being a good player award. I want to know your opinion on, do you think they should at least entertain the idea of turning it into the Gaudreau jersey or trophy?
I don't see why not. I think, I think I've always kind of made it, well known, both just in our conversations as well as on the podcast here, kind of how I feel about that trophy.
Yeah.
But I don't see why not, right? I think, something like this. I think not that the league has to, find a
No.
way as a whole, like as just a representation of the league to uh to honor Johnny, but I don't see why not. I think it'd be a cool gesture, and that's something I could totally get behind, because I think, kind of uh when you look at Goudreau, like in terms of what that award is and what it's awarded for, he was the embodiment of what it was, right? Like, it was even to the point where, you know we talked about it in a couple episodes ago. I talked about how Johnny never even hit, right? When he was on the ice, he was out there to just score goals, get assists and whatnot. He was never fighting. He was never taking penalties. Like, he was out there to be as clean of a hockey player as he could. And there's not many guys in the league that can go out there and put up the offensive numbers that he did, but also like never go in the penalty box, which again is kind of what the Lady Bing is for. Like, you're a respectful guy on the ice, and you're not taking cheap shots and whatnot and taking penalties, but you're still, producing to help
Yeah, you're still
your
playing
team
at
win,
an elite level.
which is exactly what that award is for. So, again, not that the league has to, but I think if they did, I think that would be a really cool tribute for them to do. And once again, I'm 100% behind that if they decide to do that.
I'm glad that you said that, because I completely agree. In recent years, we've seen a lot of people talk about wanting to change names of the trophies. One of the biggest ones being, of course, the Selke Trophy. A lot of people want it to be the Patrice Bergeron Trophy, and I'm always kind of thinking, like, I get the idea, but like, we can't just change a name every time somebody new is really good at something.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know, the Lady Bing is named after Lady Bing was the nickname of Marie Evelyn Morton, who was the wife of the general who led the Canadian forces at the Battle of Vimy Ridge. This was a big battle. I believe in World War One, even. Like, it's incredibly old. Like, the first time it was awarded was in 2425 in the 1900s. So it's literally 99 years old right now.
Yeah.
And
That'll mean this will be the 100th year that
that's
it's
yeah,
awarded.
yeah, like that's nice for the World War One memorial and stuff like that. But I think it would mean a lot to change it to the Johnny Gaudreau Award, and also it's just a lot more updated. The name Lady Bing has, like, who is even alive for that at this point? It doesn't quite have as much meaning. Like, I don't love just burying history or anything like that, but
Mhm.
I think at this point it would be a very nice gesture to change it to the Johnny Gaudreau
Well,
Memorial
and
Trophy,
I think
and the fact that he won it and was a finalist several times, it
yeah.
just makes perfect sense. Like, it embodies exactly who he was as a person and how he played on the ice.
Well, and I think if you're gonna do it, I think like now is the time to do it, right? And you don't even need to necessarily, if you want to go about it, you could even just retire the Lady Bing, like retire that trophy as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the Hockey Hall of Fame. You keep the same precedent for the award, but even make up a different looking trophy and have it be, the Goudreau Memorial Award or whatever, but still have it be, for the same thing, right? So you still got the
Yeah,
Lady Bing and all the guys that won it, and then next again, the award's still for the same thing, but you could be like the first ever recipient of the, whatever they decide to call it, the award, and that's
yeah.
and then you could do it because you had, again, like you said, 99 great years of the Lady Bing, but we're in a time now where it really seems like we're in a timeline right now where the NHL is really evolving, right? We're getting new expansion teams again. There's talks of more in terms of the stuff we're getting on the ice and all the technology and just everything that is going into it. It's almost like a new era of the NHL that we're in. And so, like, if there's a time to do it, now's the time. And again, I think a better way is just retire the Lady Byng. So you're not just stripping the name or getting rid of the name. Just retire the trophy and just give us a brand new one, but for the same thing.
I love that idea.
And I think that would be
I hadn't considered
terrific.
That,
I think that would be an absolute wonderful thing if the NHL did. I hope they do that now, actually. Now that I put that out there, I think that's the way they should do it.
I hadn't even considered them retiring the Lady Byng and then making a new one, but that's a phenomenal idea, honestly.
Because I'm like, again, if they were to just change the name, okay, I totally love it. But I also do kind of, have some respect for the NHL and how they value their history and they respect it and whatnot. And so I think if you're gonna do it, that's just the perfect way to do it. And then it's still the NHL still sticking with their thing of, respecting the history of the league and, respecting the past and everything, but they're just modernizing it a bit now. And especially given the circumstances, like, it's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you on all fronts there.
And then you had a second.
Yes, and this is another one. This is one I have seen there's just a couple people talk about the other one online. This one's very contested, and of course, obviously, tensions are very high. People talk about it. It's a touchy subject. People are very emotional. And there's a lot of very strong opinions because this is a subject that people have very high expectations for. People are talking about whether or not the Flames should retire Johnny Gaudreau's number 13.
Yes.
Love it.
I think even if, what happened didn't happen, I think I would still even almost kind of be on the side of like, yeah, they should.
I think he still has a very solid argument. I think this is that thing that should lock it in. I think he had a 70% or better chance already on nothing to do with this, just sheer games played, points, and the fact that he was the face of the franchise for close to 10 years. He was Calgary Flames hockey, and he didn't win a cup with them, fine. He didn't win Art Ross's, fine, but you don't need to do that to get your jersey number retired. And I really do think that when it was all said and done, he would have had it retired here anyway. But at the end of the day, you have to think about it as, why are we retiring the number? Because we don't want somebody, because then it's done. You have immortalized them and nobody else can wear it. You have to ask yourself, how fucking wrong would it look if somebody else said, I want to wear number 13 on the Flames? And the answer
and that's the thing.
It would feel so wrong.
And even if they don't retire it, which again, I do think they should, even if they don't, I don't think anybody wears that number again.
No, exactly.
I really don't.
Nobody ever would. And if they do, it's at least like 30, 40 years in the future. Like, nobody's doing that anytime soon.
I still don't think anyone would. And
I don't know why, you can retire it for both reasons now, because he was phenomenal and your best player for years, but also it would just feel better. And could you imagine that being like the first jersey that they raise in the new arena once that's there as well? Like,
or
there's just no reason not to,
or
in my opinion.
Instead of being the first one in the new arena, why not have it be the last one in the dome?
I guess in my mind it was both of those.
The final one put up in the rafters in the dome. I think Calgary 100% should. Columbus, I've seen the it thrown around. Like, with Calgary, I think 100% yes. Columbus, 50-50. I think if Columbus does it, I totally support it. I think it's awesome. again, there's no speculation on it, but like I think it'd be kind of something cool if you know, in Columbus, Sean Monahan potentially you know, drops
Taking
down
up
from
that mantle.
23 down to 13 or something. I think could be something also really cool because again, like we mentioned, they were you know, best friends, and that was the whole reason Monahan went to Columbus, right? And that goes on further to, you know, prove how much Gaudreau meant to other people, and and just the type of person he was, right? Like earlier today, in a press conference, Zach Werenski, kind of like emotional, but you know, he wanted to thank Gaudreau for choosing Columbus when no one else would.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was like when he signed in Columbus, people were like, what is happening? You know, he could have picked any team in the league,
And he
all of
took a
these up and
discount.
coming teams, and yeah, not only that, he took a discount and he chose Columbus. But then you're seeing a guy like Sean Monahan go to Columbus because of that Gaudreau factor. Like Gaudreau just in himself brought Blue Jackets hockey to the next level. He made Columbus a desirable market. He made it a place where people wanted to go because of him, because of who he was. And so I think even just on that alone, that's enough reason for Columbus to do it right there and retire his number. So, you know, Columbus, I think if they do it, I love it. I fully support it. If they don't, I understand. If someone like Sean Monahan, you know, wears the number 13, I fully support that. But with Calgary, 100%, it should be up there in the rafters. And I don't think you're gonna find someone who disagrees and thinks that it shouldn't in Calgary.
It's online, and it's you hear the loudest people first.
People
I've
online
seen some
suck.
people. I don't know if it's that, or I almost just chalk it up to people get really weird about retiring numbers. People get really, really weird about it. Like more than almost anything else in the sport, people just they find all these ways to make arguments that help their side that just seem to like not make sense, at least to me. But yeah, I really do think the Flames, it should be a slam dunk. They should do it. It would just be
Because
wrong
again,
for someone else
I'm
to wear
also
it.
like, not only am I on the belief that like they 100% should, but also even if they don't, like if you're on the side of arguing that they shouldn't, why? Because you'd be like, oh, someone in the future wear it.
Are they going to
Nobody's
run
gonna
out of
wear it.
numbers? Yeah,
Like
nobody's going to wear it
nobody's gonna
anyway.
wear number 13 anyways. Right? Like it's just players have a respect for the past. It's the same way as the teams. No, I don't think many teams do anymore. Like most teams have their team logo on like the roof now and big lights. But the logo in the middle of the dressing room, like it's a tradition. You don't step on it. It's the same way as with something like this. No one is going to go to the Flames and be like, I want to wear 13. I want to be the one to rock it. Like players have respect for each other, whether it's a player now, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that history is there. If you're a player in, you know, 30, 40 years and you get drafted by the Calgary Flames, whether you did before, whether you heard about Gaudreau before you're drafted or once you're drafted by the Flames, you're going to know who he was. And you're going to hear about him. And then you're going to be like, even if you wore 13 your entire life growing up, you'd be like, yeah, I can't. Like that's just the way hockey players are. So if you're on the side of arguing that they shouldn't, I would love to hear your reasoning as to why. I would be very curious to know why you believe that they shouldn't.
Yeah, I always think it's really weird when people bring up the like, we're gonna run out of numbers if we keep retiring them. It's like, bro, they're like half the people saying this don't like put on their turn signal when they're driving. Don't tell me that you care about what are they going to do about numbers in 300 years when we've retired 60 numbers on the Canadians. Like we're fine, okay? Like
Yeah.
I did see some Columbus fans saying that they are really torn because they want it retired there for Gaudreau, but also they want 13 specifically in Columbus. They kind of also want it retired for Cam Atkinson, who played in Columbus for I want to say 8 or 9 years. Was one of their better forwards for that time. Obviously, wore number 13. I think it would be nice if they retired it for Gaudreau. Maybe ask around, kind of ask Monahan and some of the guys on the team now, like, do you want to wear it this season? If not, we're putting it in the rafters.
I think the only guy that you can really ask is Monahan. Right? Well, maybe not. But I feel like if you do, he's got to be the first one you go to. Like, even though he's kind of the new guy, like, well, he is the new guy on the team. Like, I think he's kind of got to be the first guy you would go to if you're gonna go and see if anyone wants to wear it to honor him. Like that's got to be where you start, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe you take it to you go. I don't think he would wear it, but I think you go to Boone Jenner and you ask, like, what do you think? Like, I have no idea who were some of his best friends on the Blue Jackets in the past few years he's been there.
Yeah,
like you figure out who his inner circle, his closest best friends were. Obviously, Monahan, we know, is one of them, but he hasn't played with them for a few years, And then you kind of address maybe a couple, 2, 3, 4 guys who all kind of have a bit of a right to it in a way, like the closest to him. All of you guys, does any of you want to wear it? And maybe you go from there. But yeah, I think you ask the team. If nobody wants to wear it, they're like, nope, that's Johnny Hockey's number. Then you could put it up to the rafters. I actually have no idea. Do you know, would that be Columbus's first number retired?
No, they retired Rick Nash's. I know for sure. I think that might be the only one, actually.
Would make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, I think there's multiple different ways. And the thing is with Columbus, I don't think there's a right or wrong way they can do it. I think whatever way they go about it, I'm gonna fully support it.
If they don't retire his number, they're gonna put up some sort of memorial, some sort of, a lot of teams nowadays, they don't retire everyone's numbers, but they do kind of like a ring of fame around the rink, and they kind of have guys numbers and pictures or names up there that, so like, the number's not retired necessarily, but like they've got a big piece on the wall saying this guy is part of our team's history. And I think that would be very nice to put Johnny Gaudreau up there. Maybe put him near the cannon section.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a lot of people's favorite memory of him is flinching whenever he would come to Columbus as a Flame, and the loud Columbus cannon would go off, and he would always flinch at it.
Yeah, but long-winded way, basically, of saying Calgary 100% should.
I'm so glad you're on board with that too.
Whatever way Columbus does it, I respect and support it. But personally, I think if Calgary goes any other way than retiring it, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? Like, I think the precedent was there, before the tragedy, but especially after the tragedy. Like, I think you have to now. Like, I think either way, I think it should have been going up there. But now, like, I think it 100% should, without a doubt.
Yeah, completely agree.
And you know what? Seeing what Flames fans are doing right now, if the Flames don't, there's probably going to be a petition that Flames fans start up.
Flames fans are going to be pissed
to make it happen. Like, if the Flames don't do it, I think Flames fans are going to twist their arms and be like, "No, we're making this happen. If you guys don't want to do it, we're going to force your hand to the point where you do it."
And you know what? Sometimes the billionaires who for some reason get to make the decisions on behalf of everyone. Sometimes they need to be reminded that there's a couple more of us.
Exactly right.
This was good. We got to kind of talk it out a bit. I know this was a weird episode. It's a lot more somber tone than we're used to and stuff, and we'll get back to our normal style on the next one. But thank you for listening with us. This has been really tough. We're kind of we've all obviously already gone through it a little bit. This happened 5 or 6 days ago now. We've had some time to process it. We're kind of going through it a little bit of it verbally now, a little more out loud than just in our own heads. But yeah, Burundi, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about or wanted to say?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think this was good, kind of one of the first people I talked to when the rumors were coming out was, our mom, because she's one of the now biggest Flames fans that I know over recent years and everything. And she's been gone a bit over the last the last couple days on vacation. So I really haven't had the opportunity to talk about this in any way. And so, I thank you for being here with me to talk about this situation, because these are always tough situations to be in, analyzing it from both kind of a hockey side of it, but also just like a real world um, side of it, right? So I thank you for hopping on here with me to, you know, talk about this as a whole, and I hope this kind of gives both of us a little bit more closure on it. As obviously, I think that's kind of it's gonna be kind of an overshadowing thing across the league for the entirety of this upcoming season, especially as well as future seasons. And so, to our listeners as well, I hope this has kind of helped you guys a little bit throughout it. And again, you I'm not even going to do it for this episode. If you're a listener, where the socials are. If you guys need to talk about it, or you have any, Johnny or Matthew stories that you guys want to share with us, you know where to do so, and we would love to hear them. And we'd love to talk. Whatever you guys need, we would love to talk about it with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And in lieu of telling you guys about our socials, please go check out the GoFundMe set up to support Madeline and baby Trip. That's Matthew Gaudreau's wife and their unborn baby. They are currently at $607,000 US from their goal of $30,000, which is phenomenal to see so much support coming out. And yeah, if you're financially stable and you can afford to, this seems like about as good of a cause as you can give to.
Yeah, I completely agree. One other thing I also want to shout out, aside from the GoFundMe, if you are, if you do follow us on Twitter, it is on our Twitter now. If not, I do encourage you to go check it out. Calgary Flames fan Lindsay Hamilton. A lot of people have been seeing it on Twitter. She was the individual who was outside the Saddle Dome for quite a bit of time, painting a truly incredible painting in memorial of Johnny, and she has now listed the painting up for auction, with all proceeds going to the it'll go towards the GoFundMe for that you mentioned.
Yeah, Matthew's wife.
Yeah. The current bid is at 2,800 right now. So again, that just goes to further prove, what the Gaudreaus meant to the hockey world, and how much people want to show their support and whatnot. So if you're inclined to do so, I completely encourage you to go and check this out, as it is a truly incredible painting. And again, the entire proceeds of whatever the auction ends at all goes towards the GoFundMe. So just putting that out there as well.
Absolutely. I hadn't even seen about that. So, well, I'll have to check that out after we're done here. I'll have to go look at the painting. But yeah, I guess that's about all we have. You knew what this episode would be going into it. It's a very rough time and topic, and yeah, I guess we'll hopefully everyone can deal with this and mourn on their own, and I guess we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better once again. I do thank you for sitting down here and talking about this as a whole, and I hope it's given you as much closure as it can throughout this as it has for me. But once again, we do thank everyone for tuning in. We hope you guys are doing well. We hope your families are doing well. The last thing we'll end it on is again, we cannot express this enough. Please do not drink and drive. There are so many sources out there to get you home safe. And it can not only save your life, it can save the lives of others. So we do thank you guys for listening. And once again, we will see you guys later.